All right, let's talk more about this. Our next guest has made a career of examining the media for liberal bias. David Bozell is the president of the Media Research Center, a media watchdog group that defines its mission as protecting free speech and being champions for individual liberty. David, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it. So, you guys are
Thanks, guys.
champions of free speech. Wasn't Jimmy Kimmel, you can like it or not like it, but he was expressing free speech, yes?
Well, before I get to that, I want to let everybody know that the study that President Trump is referring to is ours. We did a study of the first 100-day coverage. It was 92% negative for all three broadcast networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, the evening newscast. We do this every 4 years. Compared to Joe Biden, President Trump was 92% negative. Joe Biden was 59% positive. So the characterization that
So networks should lose their license, David?
Say again, sir?
So networks should lose their license, as the president suggested on Air Force One?
Well, what about the free speech rights of the affiliates? Nobody's asked about this. I mean, there was an old adage, guys, in television media. You got to keep the affiliates happy. That's been an old adage. In fact, I was just watching the Saturday Night Live movie from the creation of Saturday Night Live, and they actually mentioned that in the movie. that Lorne Michaels
but that's
had to
the
go
free
meet
market.
the
I mean, but David, I just want to get back to the point, because the free market, like advertisers can decide. But I want to get back to, was Jimmy Kimmel expressing freedom of speech?
Jimmy Kimmel lied through his teeth, or Wolf was woefully misinformed about characterizing the assassin as a member of MAGA. And this was on Monday night.
Yeah, that's not how I interpreted it.
When
But
did he
either
do
way,
that,
you're
David?
allowed to actually lie with freedom of speech, right? I mean, even if you
You're
don't like his
also
opinion,
allowed to be
you're
canceled
allowed to.
You're also allowed to be canceled for lying. I mean,
Not by
this
the
was on
government.
Monday. This was on Monday. Dana Bash had asked Governor Spencer Cox about this very question. On Sunday, Governor Spencer Cox refuted Dana Bash, much to her surprise, that had been widely reported all throughout the next 24 hours. That joke was prepared in advance, vetted by writers, vetted by a production team, vetted by producers.
Right, but I hear you. I understand you don't like the content of the joke, but it's still freedom of speech.
It's the joke about President Trump is not what is in question. Jimmy Kimmel said, and I quote, "MAGA spent the weekend trying to do everything possible to pretend the shooter was anything."
That is not a quote at all, David. Here is the actual quote that I can read for you. The actual quote is here. "The MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from it." At no point in that statement, I'm not defending Jimmy Kimmel. I don't watch late night comedians. At no point in that statement did he say this shooter is MAGA or conservative. At no point at his telecast, at any point, has he said the shooter was MAGA.
Guys,
full stop.
Guys, no one in MAGA lifted a finger to try to characterize the kid as anyone other than one of MAGA, because he wasn't. He never was.
He didn't say he was, David. You know that. I just read you the copy.
The characterization that the political right spent any second trying to defend ourselves against this accusation is wrong. He's flat out wrong.
I hear you, David. I hear you. I hear you. David, hold on. We were talking before the show about how it's open to interpretation, and how actually Kieran sees it one way, Dave sees it another way, I see it another way. I understand that the comment can be open to interpretation. That's neither here nor there. It's all freedom of speech, isn't it? I mean, you guys are champions of freedom of speech. It's freedom of speech for Jimmy Kimmel to be able to express his satire and his opinion on this.
Let's go down that path, okay? He was given an opportunity to clarify his remarks. According to the Hollywood Reporter last night, he wanted to double down. Okay, these affiliates have obligations to their constituents, i.e., their customers, and they're trying to preserve the cord in a cord-cutting era. It's more of a business decision than anything else. Nexstar was the first out of the block. Nexstar's biggest affiliate is Chicago, and their phone lines are getting melted by their customers who don't want to see this stuff broadcast through their television screens anymore. That's the full stop, guys.
David, I agree with you about that aspect. I just the whole idea. Can you just clarify whether you think the FCC getting involved was the right message to be sent? Because I know that when conservatives were part of cancel culture and when they were getting canceled right and left, there was a big outcry. And I feel like the FCC getting involved has really undercut that argument that everybody's voices should be heard.
Yeah, look, the FCC's charter is to protect the public interest, okay, and to be a voice for the broadcasters as well. And I don't know anything.
But it should be very narrow as opposed to regulating actual content, right?
I don't think the FCC is not regulating any actual content. The affiliates call for this. Okay, now did the affiliates call Brendan Carr and say, what are our options? Potentially. He is the chief regulator in this space. So potentially they did call Brendan Carr and say, what are our options legally? Where are the guardrails? And they exercise those guardrails.
David,
it's actually pretty black and white.
Let me read you something real quick. Regulatory power in the hands of a willful president can too easily become a weapon against political opponents, including the media. That's what happened Wednesday as Brendan Carr, President Trump's man at the FCC, threatened Disney and its affiliates if they didn't punish late-night host Jimmy Kimmel for comments about Charlie Kirk, words that could have been uttered by a New Jersey mob boss. Do you know what paper wrote that? The Rupert Murdoch-owned Wall Street Journal. What do you have to say to the Wall Street Journal's comments?
Well, I'd say Rupert Murdoch has a beef with the affiliates. Again, these are there's about 120, 130 markets in the United States. Okay, 60 of them about half of them decided no mas with Jimmy Kimmel and this kind of rhetoric and this kind of moment. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel had a wonderful opportunity, guys. He had a wonderful opportunity. If he didn't know Charlie Kirk and didn't want to necessarily go down this path, he could have called one of Charlie Kirk's buddies and told his audience, "Look, let's get to know this guy. Let's see what made this guy tick. I'm going to invite Megyn Kelly. I'm going to invite Tucker Carlson. I'm going to invite somebody from TPUSA. I'm going to invite Erica Kirk." And it would have been a ratings buster. And they would have had an awesome conversation about getting to know who Charlie Kirk was. Instead, he had to take the time to make some sort of slanderous comment about what MAGA may or may not have been doing.
Unfortunately, I agree with you there. You there. Charlie Kirk, unlike conservative movement at the moment, Charlie Kirk loved debate. He loved political debate, which is not being encouraged by the people trying to honor his legacy. But David, we appreciate you coming on. David Bozell, President, Media Research Center.